Hello, this is Dale. I'm joined by Mike, and we're going to talk tonight about people we can never reach. We try, but it's not going to work because they're the kind of people that go, la, 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 I don't want to hear it. And I'm not just making fun of them. I mean people who can see it with their own eyes. They go to a meeting and they witness it, and they still say, that didn't happen. Really? They look at the videotape and they say, nah, I don't believe it. It's taken out of context. You're watching it. There's 6 policemen beating a guy that's on the ground. He's on his face. Oh, look, he twitched. He's fighting them. What? Really?
Yeah. Yes. This is really kind of a sad story, but the truth
we're going to
is,
make it funny because this is a comedy show.
yes, right. No, this it is kind of funny because in a way you have to laugh at people who have disabilities or are fat or something like that.
Fat? You mean
Right.
between their ears?
No. What I'm saying is,
Yeah, what are you saying by that?
is that, and I'm not drawing direct analogies here, but the American Revolution was fought by like about a third of the people, and there was another third that were fighting against those people.
That's true.
With the British, and then there was the low information voter crowd in the middle who didn't have the guts to stand on either side of that. So the fact that you're going to have some people that are not going to deviate from the party line and just are stricken with fear when it comes to making a definitive statement for or against something. Some people also they've decided this is the camp that I'm in, and you cannot move them from there. It doesn't matter if you got a D8, you're not going to move that person from that location.
He's talking about a bulldozer, a D8.
Yes. I was assuming that people would know that, but
why?
I just
because
think,
they live in Josephine County?
well, I don't know. No, that's a little presumptuous, perhaps, on my part. No, I just think that it's sad but true that some people aren't going to get it, and some people are so partisan that they are not going to see the truth. It doesn't matter what you do.
It did start with party politics with me. I used to go to Democrat Party meetings, and Dave Toller, a famous, infamous example. And I thought, well, this guy represents some kind of change. I'm for some kind of change. And then Dave started telling some lies, and I was, Dave, that's not you, right? I mean, you don't want to tell lies. And so I went to a Democrat Party meeting after about the 6th or 7th lie. I mean, these were big whoppers. And I said, it's very weird because Dave said this. And they were like, no, he didn't. I said, well, I have it on tape. So.
Yeah.
What does this mean?
Yes.
So.
That's odd, and I'll tell you, that I was a Republican before, but I see plenty of, and in this county, this is a mind blower to me because up until just a few years ago, I didn't really have any interest on what was going on a local level. Didn't interest me at all. National party politics is the only thing that I paid any attention to. And what's amazing to me is what you think of as Democrats and Republicans has nothing to do with what's going on in this county.
No,
not
right.
at all. I mean, they are so much alike. It's not even funny.
Versus everybody else.
It is an amazing thing, I remember we were having this conversation with Simon out in front. He came out, was talking to us after one of the meetings.
It's amazing in itself.
And I was talking to him about the fact that Republican. I mean, don't you stand for any of this stuff? And it's just kind of zing zing right over the top of his head. It has what you think you are politically has very little to do with what that party actually stands for.
Since when
Sadly.
have Republicans been in favor of spending, taxing? When did this
Yes.
happen?
Yes.
I mean,
Well,
we're
you know
talking
what?
locally. Why are
Yes.
they doing this?
Yeah, well, and that's a good point. And you know, in this county, it doesn't seem to matter. Every opportunity they have to spend more money, and they'll tell you all day long that, oh, we're cut to the bone. They keep hiring new people. They keep spending more money. They keep giving everybody raises. I mean, if we are literally, I mean, and they tell us stories all the time about how we as a county are laying in the gutter. We are bleeding out. Oh, let me tell you what's going to happen in July. That's it, man. It is over in July. That's it. And I've heard that a few years in a row, but this time it's really going to happen. Well, all of that is the case, and yet they continue to have raises for people, and they keep making arguments that people deserve these raises and all of these things. Well, yes, okay, maybe that person does deserve the raise, but we're bleeding out in the gutter. The answer is no. Even though we love you dearly, we cannot afford to give you a raise. When is that going to come?
Did you see the political price that Sandy Casanelli paid for that kind of talk? People hated her.
Yeah, right. Yes.
The
So the
unions
thing
especially. Okay, I can see a value to unions. Look, I'm not completely stupid. I do it only partially. I play that on TV. But the thing is, I understand part of that. But at one point, you have to start saying to people, you know, I love your cause. I will give you money out of my pocket. I did to Roger Brandt with this project in Cave Junction. But we shouldn't be giving you economic development money for developing 200 jobs. What, are you crazy?
No, listen, this is a silly, silly thing. And if you think you know what's happening in this county, you think that things are financially destitute and there's all these horrible problems, you have no idea what you're talking about.
I go to all these meetings, and okay, it's like the people who were denying about Dave Toller again. Dave's an easy example because there's so few people that still have any respect for him. You know, the green people in Cave Junction and some of the other places out in the Illinois Valley, you know, Dave is a very strong proponent of all laws that have to do with the environment. He's such a strong guy. And I said, listen, you don't know because you don't go to the meetings. He never says anything. Oh, no, I know that he does. I know that he does. I said, well, let me ask you this question. How many times do you think, first, do you think Dwight Ellis is a green environmentalist? No, he's the opposite. I said, do you have any idea how many times Dave's vote has been different than Dwight's vote? Well, no. I said, they always vote alike. There's been like maybe twice in the whole time Dave's been in office where they've had a difference of opinion. It wasn't about environmental issues. So what are you talking about? Right. Well, yeah, you're banned from this meeting.
We all had the veil pulled over our eyes about all of this stuff. We think we understand because they're telling us this line. It sounds very, very convincing. We think, oh man, things are horrible. Things are bad. They got money for everybody. They're hiring new people. They're giving them raises. Oh, we got a cost overrun of $100,000. No problem.
It's in the budget.
No,
it's in the budget.
It's one thing after another. So I don't believe anything they say. And if you do, you don't know what you're talking about.
3D
you have no idea.
Television, 3D.
You have no idea.
Stop it. You're making me dizzy. Oh, there was the thing. Okay, so Sandy questioned a lot of this kind of stuff. And I know it sounded like when she was talking that she was saying all the time, hey, you know, some of my best friends and co-hosts do that. And yes. So they called her Casanoli. Oh, that was pretty cute. Only thing is, you go back and you look at her voting record. Do you know this? She voted no 10% of the time. What? Wait a minute. 90% of the time she said yes? Uh-huh. Because I've looked. 90% of the time she said yes? Uh-huh. So where do you think this who's fooling you? Who profits from calling her Casanoli?
Yeah. Well, people that want to continue to spend more money.
Right, and who was it that was always? It's like train cars passing over the border from Mexico into the United States, right? And every once in a while, like every 1,000th train car, they stop the whole dang train and they open it up, just one, and they look inside, and oh look, arms and illegal. Okay, close the door. Good luck to you. Okay, or whatever they're going to do with that. Sandy,
Right.
every once in a while, wanted to look inside those train cars. They could not allow that. What are you, crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's this deception that somehow and they create this image, and the Courier helped them do this.
Casanoli.
That Casanoli, here's this bad person. This bad person is doing all these bad things. When in reality, all they wanted is they wanted to continue to do things the way they wanted. They want a board of three that just goes yes, 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 or no, or whatever. But they all have to march in lockstep. They want that, and there's an illusion that people want our lawmakers and legislators and everything to get along and get things done.
Yes.
I'm quite frankly sick of them getting things done. I want them to not get things done. I want them to actually oppose the other party. That's why I voted one particular way instead of this particular way over here. So when I hired Casanelli, I did it for the purpose of putting some resistance on that board. That's what I wanted. I didn't want her to go in there and get along with those people.
She was hated for that.
Well,
And some of you know the story. Rob Brandis of Public Works said, oh, we've got these vehicles that are too dangerous to drive. And she said, let's go down and take a look at them. I went with her as a camera person. It was a commissioner-sponsored visit. It was supposed to look at the vehicles and investigate. We brought a mechanic with us, and we got down there, and Rob Brandis and company had changed the license plates, and we weren't looking at a light blue pickup truck. We were looking at brown something or other. Hey, wait a minute. We're supposed to be looking at vehicle 10005. Oh, this is it. No, it's not. Oh, well, we changed the plates. Now, why would anybody change the plates?
Well, I can think of a couple of reasons. One, maybe he was trying to channel off a fairly decent county car to a friend of his under the auspices that it was a piece of junk and was needed to be liquidated.
I don't know why, but it made me wonder why. And so the county government and the union people, because sometimes unions aren't right, and they all gathered together, and the chief financial officer at that time had said, now, you're just not going to believe this because it's so hilarious. She said, it cost us $10,000 to refute that report. What? To refute the report? Yes, we needed to spend $10,000 to refute it. And Dave Toller was part of this too. He was working right with them. Hello, Dave Toller fans. Oh yeah, $10,000. Well, where'd that $10,000 go? I mean, for what? They wouldn't answer. So the next week, I got up and I said, now, were you going to tell us about how the $10,000 was spent? No answer. I came up the next time. Oh, they were getting pretty upset with me. And I asked them 4 times. Finally, the chief financial officer comes out with a report written by Rob Brandis about how the money was spent, right? And she says, well, it was we part of it was that we talked to various department heads. Who was involved in this, and they used part of their time. And one of the people on the list, let's wait, was Sandy Casanelli. Now, wait a minute, I said. Sandy Casanelli spent time on the government payroll refuting her own report? And they just stared at me. Because, what? And we said, and Rob Brandis says, I can't bring the proof into you because there'd be so many boxes of proof of why we had to do this, changing license plates, that it would fill up this Ann Basker auditorium. What?
Well, and listen, that right there is enough evidence for any thinking person to know that something stinks here. But there are many who think that if I take a stand against this person, then I'm somehow rocking the boat here in the county, and the people will hate me, and I can't have that.
Well, I had people who were backers of John Harrelson. And I'm talking with this guy once, and I said, but I told you a couple of things about John Harrelson, who used to be the treasurer. Oh, no, I like John no matter what he says or does. No matter what he says or does? Really? So John Harrelson, I had never met John Harrelson before. I didn't know who he was. Paul Walter comes up to me. Okay, Paul Walter. And he says, Dale, you got to come over and listen to this. I'm like, well, okay. I'm telling you the truth. So I go over, and Paul Walter says to John Harrelson, you know, John, I went on the website, and I was trying to look for that financial information, and I didn't see it. John Harrelson looks at him and says, we'll just go on the website like everybody else. This was the beginning. I didn't know who this guy was. So that was the beginning. And so Paul Walter says to him, as I was just saying, he was very patient. Probably for my benefit. He says, well, I was just saying that it's not there. It's not there, John. I can't find it. Where's that financial information? And Harrelson stops and looks at him. Ooh, I've got a phone call. No, that's you. So Harrelson stops and looks at Paul Walter and says, I have your picture on my wall. And Paul Walter says, you do? That's Paul. You do? He says, and it's under plastic. What? What does this mean?
Yeah.
John Harrelson, are you certifiable? What is this supposed to mean? And then he walked away. I have your picture on my wall and it's under plastic? What? Is he off his meds? What? I have no explanation for this guy. I told this to this guy. Oh, well, I like John. He's a good guy. I said, but that's lunatic. What does that mean? Well, I don't know, and I don't care. I don't know, and I don't care.
Yeah.
So John Harrelson is the county treasurer. He's suggesting that we speed up the redemption period. What? This is boring, Dale. Okay. I know that. We speed up the redemption period for people undergoing foreclosure, which means that they could do foreclosure on people about twice as fast, I guess. A third as fast, whatever, faster. John Harrelson brought this to the county commissioners 3 times, and all 3 times they said, John, we're just not going to do this. So when he ran for office again, he was going to run unopposed. What do I know about being a treasurer except I'm not going to be a liar? And so I decided to run. I thought, I'll run for treasurer. And so John Harrelson says, my opponent is saying that I asked to speed up the redemption period. And I said, well, you did. No, I never did that. I never did that. You can't prove it. And I said, John, it's on the county video. I didn't even shoot that video. No, it's totally wrong. You're just a liar. John Harrelson was using the county's website as his campaign website. You can send money to me using the county's website? Okay, but my favorite story. Oh, I got 2. One more. Oh, no. So I have this sign up. I went to there's a little store about a block from the courthouse, and they had a huge John Harrelson sign up. And I love this little story. And it was a really big one. So I went into him and I said, you know, I've got these much smaller signs, and would you have any objection if I don't cover anything, I put it over to the side, but I put, you know, this Dale Matthews sign there. And they said, you're running? I said, yeah, I'm just running because, gosh, you know, I think I can do the job because I don't look in a ledger book. I look in another book, the one my boss gave me to look at, and I'm going to be honest about things. Oh, that's cool. They said, yeah, sure. So this is a block from the courthouse. So I put this little sign in, and just when I'm finishing, and it's over to the side, John Harrelson comes running down the street from the courthouse? Well, doesn't he have a job to do all day? He's running. He's in the middle of the street. Now, there's going to be people in our audience, well, I like that John Harrelson. I don't believe this story. I'm telling you the truth. And so John Harrelson's running down the middle of the street, and he's got his hands going like this, and his hair is flying. More than mine. It's flying up in the air. What are you doing? What are you doing? This is a loon. And so he runs past me and straight into the little store. I couldn't hear what he was saying. And he walks out looking dejected, and he walks by me without saying a word. Well, they probably said something to him like, John, you know, it's America.
Right.
Here's the best story of all. I'm sorry I'm doing all the talking, Mike, but this was so good. So they had this gathering of candidates.
Like
Unbelievable.
I'm not used to that.
Oh, okay. All right. So next time you can do no talking also. Okay,
Okay.
so they had this gathering at North Valley High School, but this is a funny story, and this is a comedy show. Okay, so and news, of course, some news. So it's at North Valley High School, and attendance by the high school students is mandatory. So the place is packed because they can't go to class. They have to be in this thing to listen to these politicians blather on about why you should vote for them. I'm not going to answer that. So, so they have all these people, including me and John Harrelson and a couple of state people. It was unbelievable. And they showed up, and the students are like, oh, okay, whatever. So I walk in, and I've got a bunch of my signs under my arm, right? And so I'm walking among the students, and I'm handing some of them the signs, right? And I brought like 200 signs with me. It was a lot of signs. I had to go back for a couple of trips. And I'm handing out, giving them the signs, hoping to get them back, right? Because they're high school students. They're not going to vote. But I thought this will be fun. I'll give them something to do. And they're all grinning, right? All grinning. And, I'm ribbing them a little bit, making jokes. I don't know them, but they don't know me. They sure don't know me. And I'm running for treasurer. Like, right, anybody cares? You might as well be running for surveyor, right? So, so I'm handing out all these signs. And the principal, who was a woman at the time, she comes up to me. She says, did you bring enough for everybody? I said, all of the students? No. Did you bring other people's signs, other people who are running? No. I just brought mine. Well, that's not fair. Really?
Well, and I mean, here's the part that should scare you. These people are teaching our children.
She's the principal.
Yes. Oh, yes. In an effort to be fair, I went and got all of my opponent's signs, so there are signs for everybody.
What? This is crazy, crazy. Okay, so we're seated up front, and John Harrelson looks really upset. Like what? I'm there. I'm a candidate, right? I mean, there's just two of us in the general election, because nobody else wanted to run. I mean, John was going to run by himself. And so you could see the students just struggling to stay awake.
Yeah.
And then it comes over to treasurer, and I just kind of smile at them, and they all sort of perk up, and they're like, okay, I don't know who this guy is, but he seems like a good guy. I don't know why. I was smiling at them. John Harrelson looks very stern. He stands up, and the first thing he says to a whole group, I'm telling you this story because there are people who believed in John Harrelson first, last, and always. It doesn't matter what he says. Really? And so John Harrelson stands up and says to all these high school students, first thing out of his mouth, he doesn't even say, my name is John Harrelson. The first thing he says is he points at me and he says, I just want you to know, this man, everything that he says is a lie. And the whole place is like, they don't know who he is. They don't know who I am. They don't know what we're running for.
First of all, that is not true of anybody.
No, it can't be, but I mean, that's what he said.
Yeah.
That's how he started off his campaign speech to all these high school students. And even the other candidates are looking around like, who is this guy? That's John Harrelson. And so comes my time, and I just kind of, Mr. Matthews, and I kind of move in my chair a little bit, and I see all these grins out in the audience. Somehow, it was like a movie. I'm sorry, it's true. And I'm sorry because it sounds like I'm making it up, but I'm not. And so somehow they get the feeling that I'm iconoclastic, that I'm, not with the program. You think? Okay, I don't know, something about the look on my face, or John Harrelson, this stuffy guy saying, everything he says is a lie. So I'm like, I go like this, and they're all restless in their chairs, and so I stand up and I go like this, and so everyone's sitting there, but they got these big grins on their face, and I said, hello, my name is Dale Matthews, and I went like this, and they all stood up, a whole bunch, and they had signs, and yeah, nobody else got that. What happened here? And John Harrelson looks stricken because Nobody knows me. They don't care about this position. Treasurer, come on. They're not even voters, but they're just loving it. And I go like this, and they all get quiet. It was just like a movie. It was just exactly like a movie. And so I talked a little bit about redemption periods, what? And this kind of stuff. And they're all, I know they don't understand me. Nobody that we ran against understood what are the issues for the treasurer. Who cares, right? And then I go like this, and they all stand up and yay. So when it's almost over. Boy, this is a long story. Mike, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
So it's at the end of our segment, and the principal comes up to John Harrelson, and he's looking kind of depressed. And she says, John, this was really your day. You think? Yeah, you really spoke to them, and they all resonated with you, John. This is the principal of North Valley High School. And John brightens up. Yeah, they really did like me, didn't they? So last scene. It is exactly like a movie. Either I'm telling you the truth or I'm a really, really good liar. You be the judge. Okay, but please don't ask Mike because he'll tell you the truth. So I walk out. Most of my signs are gone. Wait a minute, don't take my signs. I'm going to need them for the election. And I walk outside and I swear to you, cars with the signs in them, kids on the buses holding the signs. They're putting the signs out the windows of the buses. They're holding them up and they're applauding and they're saying, yay, Mr. Matthews. They don't know who I am. Yeah, we're going to vote for you. And I said, you can't vote for me. Oh, whatever. And they were so delighted. But there are always going to be people who say, well, I don't care what he says or does. I'm voting for that guy.
Right. Yeah.
Look, there's people in the audience who still feel this way about the sheriff, the former sheriff, Gil Gilbertson.
Right.
And I told them some of the things that Gil said and did. Like one of the challenges for the new sheriff, Dave Daniel, is that he's got an emergency operations plan written up by the sheriff or in conjunction with a couple other people, but it was approved by the sheriff, that says, I'm not making this up, buddies. I'm not making this up. It says on there that if there's an emergency, that the sheriff, I know it sounds impossible, that the sheriff can come out to your house, and if you're in your vehicle with your kids and your water and your food that you've banked up, even if you have no weapons, you've got all this stuff in there because you're going to survive this crazy thing, this flood, this invasion by African Americans from California, whatever you think is going to happen, right? And you've got all this stuff in your car and you're headed out. The sheriff can stop you, I'm not making this up, and seize everything. He can come into your house and do it without even leaving you a note. Really? And so I brought this up, and Sandy Casanelli brought this up. She was a commissioner at a meeting. And we said, Gil, did you know it says this? No, I didn't know it said this. And then, like Simon Hare, half a sentence later, he says, well, yes, I knew it was in there. Now, this is your constitutional sheriff. Now, I got people, oh, Dale, that's going too far. Why? He is my constitutional sheriff. Really? With that kind of emergency operations plan?
Yeah, that's a little goofy. I wonder how they rationalized that when they wrote it originally. That just, I mean, how can you write something like that and think, yeah, that's good. I like that. That works.
Well, and then when you talk with people about it, they say, but I like Gil. Yeah, I get you. But at what point do you say, now wait a minute, Gil, that doesn't sound right? Or at what point do you say, maybe there's a little bit more to Gil Gilbertson than I am willing to admit?
Well, and Dale, for the 2/3, that point never comes. For the 2/3 of the people, I mean, you literally have to hit them in the face with a 2x4 to get them to see otherwise. Now, listen, I didn't necessarily think that Gil was a bad guy. I just thought it was time for a change. because you had 8 years and it's time to go.
Well, what do people do? It's what they used to say, what, back in the 70s or something, cognitive dissonance. They know something, but they can't accept it. Like Simon Hare drinking and driving. Come on.
Mm.
Oh, but I like Simon. Yeah, but what's going to happen when he kills somebody? Drinking and
Right.
driving. He has not stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Now, we could say, well, I just drank a little and now I'm driving. But we know that he's doing it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. His friends say well, it would be far-fetched to believe my friends. They told the police. So you're saying, well, I like the guy, and you're just being too hard on him. Too hard on someone that's drinking and driving? Too hard on someone that a drunken commissioner grabbed a cell phone, sends sex messages to a teenager, and then some people are blaming the father?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, in a nutshell,
Too late.
do your homework here, and don't be afraid of what you find when you do it. I mean, that's really the point, I think. I mean, we have to believe. When we see stuff and it doesn't smell right, you have to believe your nose or something. I mean, you have to, do a little bit of analysis. Don't just be
rely on the
immovable.
Courier. Don't just rely on the Daily Courier. There's a famous Saturday Night Live skit, where a woman comes into the bedroom and she sees her husband in bed with another woman. And what? This is terrible. And the husband and the girl he's with, they get up, they quietly dress. She's gay. I'm going to divorce you. This is, and the girl leaves, and the guy is buttoning up his shirt and everything. And then he smooths down I'm going to do this. And finally, it's all back. It looks like nothing happened. And he says, what? Saturday Night Live. And she says, well, you were doing. She says, no, I wasn't. Well, no, you didn't. And then he finally says, are you going to believe me or your lying eyes?